Number 5, Titanfall. So this game looks really good, and information was given on it at E3. So there were a couple of trailers, and there was also a gameplay demo footage that was shown as well. And I have to say, it is a game I'm super excited about. So it's a new game from the new developers Respawn Entertainment, and of course published by EA. And they did show it at Microsoft's conference, and yeah, it just looks really cool. So they showed a trailer, and the trailer of Titanfall, it looks relatively interesting. There was of course like monologue going over the top of it, and some interesting cutscenes during it as well. Now from the looks of it, you can see sort of this sort of alien ships invading a planet, and the main character that has a monologue over the top is talking about like having to protect his land and protect his planet from invasion, and of course going back to fighting because of this. So that's interesting. I don't know whether that's alluding to the single player part of the game, and how you are effectively taking on this invading army to protect your land. Who knows? But the trailer did look interesting. So from more information we've had on this game is quite interesting. So it is a mostly multiplayer game. It is a multiplayer game with, they say, single player elements. So that's very interesting. It looks like Respawn Entertainment are focusing most of their energies, most of their time on the multiplayer experience. And of course, this is one of the reasons why Respawn did say that they chose the Xbox One, and they decided to go with Microsoft as a launch platform, because of the new kind of cloud system that Microsoft is offering, and the new sort of dedicated servers that they're offering. Because with the current system of using people's consoles, player consoles as a router, like a hub for other players to connect to, that this just wouldn't work for what they wanted to do with Titanfall, and that these dedicated servers will allow multiplayer games to become bigger and much more vaster, and incorporate a larger number of players, and of course have the reliability and the stability that of course they want for a multiplayer game. Because if it is going to be a predominantly multiplayer game, then they do want to make sure that they don't have problems with connection issues and lagging and so on, because that will hugely hinder their game. But they did say it's going to be a multiplayer game with single player elements, so I'm very interested in this. I'm wondering how this is going to work. Is there going to actually be a story, and how will it work? Will the game recognize when you last played the game, and slot you back into that story? Are there going to be story elements at the start of a multiplayer match and at the end? Will you have maybe chapter selection in the multiplayer? So I'm very curious how they're going to integrate multiplayer and single player gameplay together. I'm very curious how that's going to work. I mean, the only kind of story based multiplayer that I have played, of course, is co-op mode. Borderlands being an excellent example of that, being able to play 4-player co-op story mode. But it doesn't look like Titanfall is that. It looks like it is a purely multiplayer kind of versus game. So I'm very intrigued to see how they're actually going to implement and incorporate single player elements into it, whether it has something to do with character development. Is there going to be a story that you're fighting in the middle of? Who knows? So it'll be interesting to find out more information on it later. So definitely going to stay tuned for that. But why? The question many people are asking is why? Why have they decided to have no single player campaign? Why are they focusing on multiplayer? And Respawn's Vince Zampella, in an interview with Eurogamer and games industry, did explain a little bit more about why they decided that they would not do the sort of traditional single player campaign that most games do use now. And he said, one of the major reasons was that Respawn is a relatively small startup studio, and it consists of only about roughly 60 developers. A lot of the people working at Respawn did work on the Call of Duty services, Call of Duty games, and a lot of them are former Infinity Ward employees. And he did say that it's a small group, so that making single player missions can often take a very, very long time, and it requires a really huge team. He said, like making, I'm quoting directly here, we make these single player missions that take up all the focus of the studio, and that takes a huge team 6 months to make. And then he went on to say, players run through it in like 8 minutes. And and then he started to talk about like how he felt that most people, in Call of Duty, and he's probably correct with regards to Call of Duty, that, the number of people that complete the single player game is a relatively small percentage. Quoting directly here, he said that he thinks that, it's like everyone plays through the first level, but about 5% of people finish the actual game. I don't know where he got that statistic from, and if that statistic is accurate, it's quite shocking. Personally, I am very much a story-based gamer, and I do like, story-based games. But, of course, the Call of Duty series and many first-person shooter games like Call of Duty and Battlefield don't really have, an amazing storyline, and most people do buy them for the multiplayer, and and the majority of people that are going to purchase Titanfall probably are going to be in that group of purely focusing on the multiplayer. So I understand their opinion, and it does make a lot of kind of sense and a lot of marketing sense to start to focus more on spend more time on the multiplayer experience and making sure that is as good as it could possibly be. And and he just said, with them being a small studio, they couldn't really afford to waste their resources on single player, and that they're going to incorporate it instead into it. So that's an interesting choice for them to make, and of course we'll see how that goes. So I did watch the demo that was shown at E3, and it looks like a lot of fun. So they basically showed 7 versus 7 multiplayer game. And and also an extra thing that they've incorporated into the game to make it feel a little bit more like a single player experience is, of course, you have 7v7, but they also introduce extra AI characters that you will also have to fight as well. And of course, this is to add a lot more challenge. It also allows you to get a higher kill ratio or chance of gaining kills and whatnot. And so it looked really cool. The demo looked great. The gameplay looks fun. If there is one word to describe Titanfall, it is fun. It looks like a fun game to play. There are 2 main characters that you can play in it. So you can play as the pilot or the Titan. So the pilot looks really, really cool. When you play as the pilot, of course you're playing, from first-person perspective. And, it does look very Call of Duty style, but of course a lot more futuristic and modernized in its gameplay. You're a lot more agile, and one of the things that allows you to be so agile is the fact that you have some kind of jetpack, and that allows your character to be very mobile and very fast and very quick, and and you can run along walls, and you can climb and triple jump up to higher ground, and playing as the pilot just looks like a lot of fun. It looks really cool. The weapons look really great as well. From what they did, they showed a couple of weapons, and they looked really interesting, and they look like a lot of fun to use. And there seems to be a variety of weapons that you can use. They didn't say anything about kind of character development or customization. They didn't mention anything about that. But I'm sure that during the game you are able to customize your weapons. It'd be cool if you could customize your jetpack and your powers and so on as a pilot. That would be really awesome. But the second thing that they showed, which is what every pilot has. So every pilot has a Titan. So you will have a Titan. It's not something that you will have to unlock in the game, and that's really nice. The fact that you're going to have a Titan straight away from the beginning, from the get-go, especially in multiplayer, that's very nice, because sometimes one of the annoying things in multiplayer is if you're first starting out a game, and you have to level up a lot before you can get the more powerful abilities and skills that allow you to compete competitively. And if you have other characters that have already unlocked those, the balance is very uneven, and sometimes it can be a little frustrating. So it's really cool that you have a Titan from the get-go, from the beginning. And the way it basically works is you can call down a Titan at any time in the game, and in the bottom left hand corner you have a kind of a timer, a countdown. that counts down to when you're able to cool down your Titan, and you can speed up that countdown apparently through kills and your actions within game. Every pilot has their own Titan, which is unique to them. So that Titan cannot be stolen, but it can be destroyed. And and you can use the Titan in one of two ways. So you can have stay as the pilot and have the Titan backing you up. All Titans apparently do have AI, and they will, provide support and provide defense and back you up. Or you can, climb into your Titan and you can actually, you can ride it and use it as a weapon. And and that changes the gameplay style completely. It's really cool. So you basically climb into the Titan. It's surprisingly quite agile. It looks very agile for a mech, which is surprising because sometimes in mech games, the mechs can be really cumbersome and really slow and clunky and a little bit annoying. So, but it looks like the Titans are really, really agile and really, maneuverable, through strafing and moving, and that looks really cool. And of course, they're overpowered, and some of the weapons they have look really, really powerful. And there seems to be this really cool power where you use some kind of power or force field or something where you pulled together like, bullets or shells or whatever, and then shoot those at the enemy as like projectiles. That looked really cool. So playing as a Titan looked like a lot of fun too. And when you're playing the typical versus, of course you have Titan v Titan, pilot v pilot, of course. But the thing that looked really exciting to me, and I really can't wait just to try is Titan versus pilot, which looked really epic. And it does look like they've tried to make both characters, relatively well balanced against each other. So of course, if you're playing as a pilot, you want to aim to get, to high ground and shoot down on, into the Titan. And then there were some cool things where pilots can actually like jump onto the back of the Titan and destroy it from there. And of course, if you're playing as a Titan, then that's pretty epic too, because everything's very small and you can just like pick up. I think they showed one where you're actually fighting against another Titan, and the Titan thrusts his hand in and grabs the pilot and rips him out of the Titan. It just looked very overpowered, but very, very fun. And so based on the gameplay demo, this game looks like a lot of fun to play. And it looks like, a refreshing breath, a breath of fresh air for first-person shooters. Because I do have to admit, I think a lot of first-person shooter games like Call of Duty and Battlefront and Battlefield, and so on have become a little bit stale and a little bit repetitive, especially the Call of Duty Modern Warfare games. I did find those very repetitive and a little bit stale. So Titanfall is a nice, breath of fresh air, and it seems very, very different style of game, and it looks like a lot of fun. And I'm very excited to play it. And I'm not usually a multiplayer kind of gamer, but for sure I definitely want to check this game out. And for sure it is going to be a game that you just jump into for the action and to have a little bit of fun with your friends and playing against people online. So when is Titanfall coming out? Well, Titanfall will be available in the spring of 2014, so still a little bit of a wait, but that's all right. I want to make sure that they finish development properly and it comes out as a good game, a good stable game. So it comes out in spring 2014. In its first release, it will be available on the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, and the PC. So it's not a complete exclusive to Microsoft. Microsoft did say that it was an exclusive for the Xbox One, but honestly, it's really not. It is going to be available on the PC. So if you've decided, like me, that you're not going to buy the Xbox One, then that's a great news, because it does mean that you can download it and you can play it on the PC. And honestly, I probably think I will be playing it on the PC. I'm planning to buy a brand new computer soon, so for sure I think I'll be buying this game for the PC when it comes out next year. So will it come out on the PlayStation 4? Well, that's the question. So in an interview with Eurogamer, the developers did say that, and I'm quoting directly here, it's definitely not out of the question. So that sounds very definite possibility that Titanfall will be eventually coming out on the PlayStation 4. And so yeah, so if we can take it from there that Titanfall is a timed exclusive for the Xbox One, that it will be available on the Xbox One first, but probably within a couple of months it will become available on the PlayStation 4. So that is my number 5 in my list. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it interesting. So have you seen any gameplay footage of Titanfall, and will you be buying it? Will you be buying it in 2014? And what excites you most? Do you want to play as a pilot, or is it all about the Titan for you? And okay, so have a great day, guys, and I'll catch you guys next time in my next video. Have a great day, and I'll see you later.